So with the changes from everything being on paper to now everything being on the computer, it has come to my attention that a lot of you don't know how to use Edulastic and keep all of your same tests and quizzes that you've been using in the past. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that right now. And if you have Word copies of everything, that's fine. I'll show you how to convert that into a PDF. If you don't know how to do that, I'll show you that at the end. But what I have right here is a PDF file. It is kind of a package deal. It comes with 2 versions of this little quiz, and it comes with the answer key. Now, obviously, I don't want to assign that whole thing to my kids. So what I want to do right now is I want to show you how to kind of slice up a PDF before we get started. So the best and easiest way to do this is to click this print button, and instead of selecting a printer, we're going to click save as PDF. And I don't want the whole thing. Remember, I just wanted that last page. I wanted the modified assessment with the multiple choice. So I'm going to select custom, and then I'm going to tell it that I just want page 5 and save it. And I'm just going to keep it the name Chemical Changes Assessment. And I usually just keep them in the downloads because after I upload it to Edulastic, I don't really need it anymore. And so I clear out those downloads periodically so that my computer doesn't get bogged down. There's no need for you to save it like that in the future. So I just to make it easier to find, I just keep it all in the downloads. So once you have it downloaded as a PDF, then you can go to Edulastic. And when you click on Edulastic, you're going to have to log in. And you can log in using your Google credentials. You do have access to the free account in Edulastic. And the free account does pretty much everything you're going to need it to do. The only thing that the paid account does that the free one doesn't, that I have discovered, is that the paid account reads to students that need read aloud. But with Snap and Read, you don't really need that option. So there's no reason for you to pay for Edulastic. You can use it free. And you see I've already uploaded all my classes, and I want to go ahead and create that quiz. So if you look over here on the left-hand side, you can get familiar with that toolbar if you want. But what we want right now is we want to click on test, because we want to upload. They call it a test. It can be a quiz. It can be a worksheet. It doesn't have to be a test, but that's just what it's called in Edulastic. Up here in the upper right-hand corner, I'm going to click New Test. And you have the option to go in. They have a great item library. So you can select questions from that item bank, or you can type in your own question if you want to. I rarely use this option. I usually just create from PDF. And so upload from your PDF. And you can create just a completely blank, basically, answer sheet and give them a paper copy of the test, and they just put their answers in the computer. But it kind of defeats the purpose. We're trying to go paperless here. So click this option where it says upload files to get started. I'm going to click right here. You can upload from your Google Drive with this little icon right here, but since I have this assignment saved in my computer, I'm just going to select it, my Chemical Changes Assessment, and it's going to upload to Edulastic. Now, you're going to have to name it. You can change this little picture right here if you want to. I rarely do that. I pretty much call everything in my class assessments. I usually don't even distinguish between tests and quizzes. I just call everything an assessment, and those are my major grades, my skill grades. You can put in a description. I usually, just because it sorts it for you in your folder, I go ahead and I put in my grade, and I put in science. But I don't usually worry about anything else. After that is done, you can go to this next tab that says worksheet. And there is your PDF that you uploaded. Now, your questions are all there, but now we need to give students a place for them to put in their answers. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to use this little section down here. And this is new. They updated this over the summer, I'm guessing. And so I haven't really played around with add bulk or add section yet. So I'm not really sure how to work that yet. So I'm going to stick to what I do know for right now. And this first question is a multiple choice question. Make sure you know what the correct answer is. And so the correct answer is A chemical reaction. So I'm going to click right here for a multiple choice question. And it automatically gives you A, B, C, D, but if you notice, mine only had 3 answer choices. So I'm going to go ahead and take out D. I'm just hitting the backspace to get rid of D. I'm going to select my correct answer right here. And you can put in your standards if you want to. That's optional, but if you want to track your standards and how your kids do on that, you can go ahead and put your standards in. I'm just going to go ahead and select science just so that math is not on there. That's all I'm going to do. And then click done. And so over here you see that question number 1, that's where they're going to put their answer in. So now we can move on to question number 2. Question number 2. And then we'll add question number 3. Except that was wrong. But I can just click it and I can easily edit the correct answer. All right, so that's for multiple choice questions. But if you see down here, it says to identify each of the following as either a chemical change or a physical change. And so I can do this a number of different ways. I can make a text box on each line and they can type in chemical change or physical change, but that's kind of just asking for mistakes because kids are going to mess up and make typos and not spell things right. And I want the computer to grade this automatically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a drop down menu for each one. And so my options are going to be chemical change or physical change. And honestly, I didn't even look at it before I started typing, so we're just going to pretend that the first one is a chemical change. Click done. So now they're going to look. Oh, and I was right. Okay, so for iron rusting, that's a chemical change. So the kids would come over here, and on their copy, they would click right here, and they would be able to select chemical change from the list. So I've just realized what add bulk will allow you to do. If you want to go ahead and put in the rest of these questions, you can add several of them at a time. See, I want it to start with number 5 because I've already done 4, and I want it to be a drop down, and then click apply, and it's automatically going to put in like 10 or so, and you can always add more. The only bad thing is you have to come in and type each. And I don't right now because I can't see my file. I don't have it in front of me. I'm just going to go and select chemical change for each one, and then I'll go back and I will fix my answer key later. But if you do the bulk, you don't have to keep going back here every time. You just hit next and you go to the next question. So I'm going to get the rest of mine added. Okay, so I'm a huge proponent of just getting in and trying things, just diving right in. And what I have learned by playing with these little tools down here, these new tools, is that the add bulk button, when you click it, it's not what number you want to start with, it's how many questions of that type you want to add. So if you have 5, if you have 10, you have 15 that you want to add, that's what you select right here. And so I had 11 of these chemical physical change questions. So I would have from the beginning selected 11, or maybe I had 12. I had 12. I would have selected 12 right here, and it would have automatically created 12 drop down questions for me. And then I would have just had to go in and type chemical and physical changes as we go down. So just one of those things that I didn't know about until I got in here and started playing with it. I don't need to add any more though. I've got all of mine and it's ready for the kids. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to the review page, and it just shows me what it'll look like when the kids get to it. And so you'll see that they have 3 multiple choice questions, and then they have these 12 physical or chemical change questions, and they will just come over to the side and there's their drop down menu for each one. So they would be looking at question number 4, iron rusting. They would select chemical change. Question number 5, tearing paper. So they would come over here and select physical change. And they would just answer all of the questions going down. And so finally, we can go ahead and we can go to the settings section, and you set what type of assessment you want. You can make it for a grade or just practice. It doesn't have to be for a grade necessarily. You can add some instructions if you want. Now, here's something that you need to think about. If you have a quiz that has any kind of written responses, I would suggest that you click do not release scores or responses, because if you have questions that you have to go back in and grade later, like you don't want the computer to grade like short answer or essays or something like that, when the kids get their response back, when they hit submit, the computer's just going to count it as if those are wrong. So for example, if you had a 15 question quiz, but 5 of them were written responses, they're going to get their grade back, and it's going to tell them they got, even if they got all the other questions right, it's going to tell them they got a 10 out of 15. Now, there are kids that will freak out if they see that grade. So what I do is if I have any kind of written responses on a quiz or whatever, I click do not release scores. Now, however, mine that I just created was nothing but multiple choice and drop downs. So I would go ahead and release the scores right away. And so that way the kids can immediately see what they got right and what they got wrong. You can choose the point values. You can do all or nothing. You can do partial credit. I do all or nothing on mine because you either get it right or you don't get it right. If you're a math person and you want to give them partial credit for showing their work or whatever, you can do that. And so it tells you some different things that you can do with the paid version. And honestly, I don't feel the need to pay $100. I think it is for a year for any of these options. I feel the free version is more than enough. Okay, now you can save it. You can publish and assign it. Publish and assign later, I should say. But if you want to go ahead and publish and assign now, and see, it's telling me down here I didn't select a correct answer for each question. So now I have to go back and see what I did wrong. Oh, looks like this one I didn't select the correct answer. All right, so there. And we're ready to assign. Yes, I don't want to, it takes forever to attach standards, so I don't usually do that. Now, here's where you're going to go in and select your Google Classroom classes. I don't want 6th hour. I'm going to assign it to 4th hour. You can even select individual students if you want. You can set a date for it to close. So this automatically has it set for a week from now. You can even assign it for in the future to where you don't open it until you get to class. It's probably a good idea if you don't want kids, like for example, I have them 4th hour. I don't want my kids sitting in 1st hour and taking this when they're done with social studies. So probably would be a good idea to go ahead and click open manually in class. And once again, you have a choice of class assessment or practice assessment, and you can set it to automatically close on that date. And it just kind of reviews my answer choices that I gave in the last section, and then you click assign. And so your kids, what they do is they go in through Google Classroom. And so I just came in here and I opened, there was a box right here that said open assessment. So I went ahead and opened the assessment because I want to show you how to get it assigned into Google Classroom. And so you click on these 3 dots and go down to sync with Google Classroom. And so it'll tell you that it's in progress, it's sharing the assignments, talking to Google Classroom. And so now if I go back to my 4th hour Google Classroom, I should be able to refresh it. And there's my assessment. All the kids have to do is click right there, click on this link, and it will automatically bring them to Edulastic, and they'll be able to take that assessment. When they are finished, their results will show up here, and it'll tell you like how the kids are doing on each question, so that way you instantly have that information. And that's kind of why I feel like this is a lot easier than even doing a Google form. Google form it's not as user friendly when it comes to getting the results. I feel like this is a lot easier to read and to see the results, and it will automatically put their grades into Google Classroom. So if you click on their grades, it'll put once they've done it and they've submitted, their grade will show up here, so that they'll have that. But also, if you have the grade transfer extension, you can use it to take your grades directly from Edulastic and put it in PowerSchool, and this just makes it so much easier. So one more thing that I'm going to go ahead and close this because I don't want kids taking this assessment right now. That was just to show you how to work. I really like too that Edulastic makes you verify everything you do, so there's no like accidentally deleting anything. So it's closed, and I'll probably just go in later and delete it. But the last thing I want to do is I want to show you how to save something as a PDF if you have it as a Word. And so I just had this morning duty map already pulled up on my computer. Let's say I want to save this as a PDF. And a lot of you probably know how to do this already, but if you don't, it's super easy to do. So go up to File and just click Save As. Pick a place. I'm going to save it to this PC. Save it to Downloads. And from the pull down list, you can select PDF and click Save, and it's there for you. So that's how you can take your tests and quizzes and things that you've had, or maybe you have a curriculum that gives you these things in a PDF form. You can take all that and put it directly in Edulastic, and it is so easy to use.